Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku, and it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased beyond belief to welcome to this program Tammy Bruce. She is, of course, a veteran, and you know her from television, from radio, and now she is in government, State Department of the United States, spokeswoman for this. Tammy, how are you?
I am fine, but when you say it like that, even I get scared that I'm in government. Just watch. It tells you how amazing and quickly change can happen under Donald Trump. Here I am.
Yes. Oh, God, it's so good to hear your voice, Tammy. Tammy, I have so many questions to ask you. First, let me start with what's going on at the State Department. When Marco Rubio came in, and they started making changes, there was the usual hubbub on social media and in certain mainstream outlets about disgruntled people and all that. I heard Secretary of State Marco Rubio discuss what is happening in the State Department from the standpoint of it is becoming more effective, and these changes that are being made are long overdue. What can you tell us about the internal makeup of the State Department under this new administration?
Sure, and great question. And what's interesting for me, too, here is that, I've spent the last several decades talking, using my own opinion, right? We all have opinions. Lord knows I have a bunch. And now I'm in a position where where I have to discuss things in a way that is like everything but my opinion. But
right.
It's not that difficult because I said yes to taking this job because, we support Donald Trump. We support him as president, as a businessman, as a patriotic American. And we understand after all these years what he's wanted to accomplish. And so what's happening at the State Department, this was an amazing job to be offered by the president himself. And also working with Marco Rubio, when he called me and said, do you want to be the spokesperson for the State Department, he discussed with me his opinion about Secretary Rubio, that he had faith in him, that he felt he would do a great job, and asked me to join that team. And the president is correct about now Secretary Rubio. And this approach, I think, is very important to your question. For me, because I've never been in government, all of us have had an opinion. Usually government, frankly, has been a problem for Americans. We see the condition of the country, of the government itself. It has not been, frankly, helpful as it's grown to be a bureaucracy that is out of touch and has been weaponized against the American people. Our electing Donald Trump was a statement that we wanted that reversed. And one of the first things we have to do to reverse that is make government smaller. This has been a conversation amongst conservatives forever. I mean, that is in the refounding of the American conservative movement by Ronald Reagan. That was a major issue. And yet it's been difficult, if not too even frightening to approach. But we've been through a period of time, Bo, that we've now know we must do it. And there's one guy who can do it, and that's Trump. And in the meantime, Marco Rubio it understands this. We've all grown and learned about the nature of what's happening, let alone the last 4 years. and the treatment of not just President Trump, but his whole family. So what I've seen going into the State Department, the first thing is I've seen the fact that there are career people and Foreign Service officers and people who make the system run, and they are incredibly important. I would say certainly there's bad apples everywhere, Lord knows, and the system is way too big and has to be cut down. It has to be pared down to be more nimble and more effective. But I can tell Americans, and I've said this in my briefings that I've given, is that the people there who have committed to being serving the American people, serving as officers within the State Department as their career, have made my work possible and have this amazing ability to do it without a partisanship impact. And they understand also that the necessity for us to do this. And so this is literally going through for the State Departments, and every department in the government is doing this under an executive order issued by the president, is looking at how we can make our departments more efficient and more responsive to the American people. And for the State Department, that has meant cutting some offices, consolidating offices, and yes, some people have been let go. Other people have opted to retire. There's been a number of different programs where people can choose how to exit their service. And this has been part of what I've been doing over these last 100-plus days in my role, is conveying to the staff, to people inside, and also to the American people, the nature of why we're doing it. And we're doing it because, as we've all been aware of, this large bureaucracy has become unmanageable. It is bankrupting us. It is not just unresponsive to the American people in a good way, but in a bad way, they have been responsive, right? I mean, even doing nothing has an impact, or being utilized by, partisan efforts to spy on people, as an example. Those the quote disinformation agency was embedded in the State Department. Now that has been uprooted. It is gone. So what we're doing is we're making things, yes, smaller, but it doesn't mean, as we all know as Americans, that just because something's giant doesn't mean it's good. We need to be, as the Secretary says, relevant, right? We need to move at the speed of relevance in this very fast-paced world, and a large bureaucracy doesn't let us do that. So we're in the process of doing it. We've been making it clear to everybody who's at state why we're doing it, and it's not going to be a situation where, a smaller government is going to be less responsive. My goodness, it's going to be the opposite. So we want to be nimble. We want to be responsive and answerable to the people who hired us, and that's the American taxpayer.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing ever. Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Well, check this out. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
The rural way of life is about making everyone feel at home. Tractor Supply chose advanced 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to transform intelligent customer service. Together, we put the power of AI to work across 2,200 stores, keeping things running seamlessly inside, curbside, and countryside. This is elevated customer experience. This is Tractor Supply with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Shopping is hard, right? But I found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. I just give my stylist my size, style, and budget preferences. I order boxes when I want and how I want. No subscription required. And he sends just for me pieces, plus outfit recommendations and styling tips. I keep what works and send back the rest. It's so easy. Make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Spotify. That's stitchfix.com/Spotify.
Amazing things happening there, and thank you for that. Let's move to Africa right now.
Yes,
Look,
sir.
Tammy, I have friends, and some of them are really leftist, and they are hot and bothered. I have heard things that have, to me, been almost offensive to listen to, that the goal of this administration is to, in their words, make America white again. They look at this Africa story. You had 59 immigrants come in asking for a refugee status, and the whole world blew up. We had over 11 million unvetted people come in under Joe Biden's administration, and you got no criticism of a real measure from these same media outlets that are now up in arms. I have heard the attacks that on the administration for this meeting. The mainstream press narrative was that Donald Trump and the administration ambushed the president of South Africa. They said the crosses that were shown in the picture, that wasn't real. There is no genocide in South Africa. Now, look, Tammy, I understand this. Trying to understand even and explain American history from the prism of race is not a soundbite discussion. South Africa isn't either. The changes that have gone on in South Africa from even before the Boer War would take time to explain. But what can you tell us about this situation with South Africa and the administration?
Well, you know, it's Americans care about the nature of what's going on around the world. We know, of course, that everything that happens now affects us because of the nature of the modern age. But what's interesting is no one would really be looking at South Africa and its history and what it's doing now without Donald Trump having placed some attention on it. The world knows the nature of the violence and the decline of society in South Africa because of the regime that is running it now. It is not something that was secret. The world looks and then looks away because it doesn't fit a leftist narrative, the nature of what's going on. So this is not new. We've been watching it happen. But like a nation like Haiti as well, that the world doesn't really look and pay attention if a nation doesn't fit a certain narrative or doesn't have something that the world wants. What President Trump's administration is doing is looking at all these nations, recognizing our responsibility to the world, not as nation builders, but as ending the violence, as holding up a dynamic where we have a set of values that we expect from our allies and our potential allies and even our enemies that they'd better start upholding, which means an end to violence, an end to the abuse, to human rights abuses, et cetera. And that's what's been going on with our looking at South Africa. Very simply, when you think, first of all, to that meeting, the president of South Africa knows there's no ambush. Everybody knew and knows what President Trump has been saying about South Africa. We've certainly been public about it. He's made pronouncements about it. I've made pronouncements about it, about the nature of the violence that is occurring, and in their case, very publicly against the farmers in South Africa who happen to be white. And if this was happening in any other dynamic, our generation has been educated. Everyone on earth has been educated about the ugly and heinous efforts using race to harm people on this planet. And if we're going to take it seriously, we've got to take it seriously for everyone. And this is one of those cases that people are targeted simply because of their race. And in this case, it is publicly, there's videos of major events where it's about killing the Boer. And for those listening, of course, that's BOER. It is the descendants of white settlers from hundreds of years ago. That is the target, about people, again, because of their race and perhaps ethnicity. And then in the midst of that, what the president of South Africa said in the Oval Office when confronted with this is that, the people calling for the murder of the farmers who are white, they are not part of our government. And yet this one particular person who calls for this, and it's a chant, has certainly not been arrested. But in the midst of those kinds of calls, what this man's government did do is pass a law allowing the confiscation of the property of white farmers. And the law allows it to happen for no operational reason, just because it's owned by white farmers. So who does this? If you are opposed to a movement in your country calling for the murder of white people, and then you pass a law saying that those same people, those white farmers, that the government wants to and should be able to and will confiscate their land for no reason, it reinforces the demonizing of those individuals, to say nothing, Bo, of the general violence and collapse, really, of civil society in the midst of some level of chaos and violence. And they're cozying up to Iran. They also then referred Israel, after the October 7th massacre, Israel, the victims, to an international court for genocide claims, while ignoring Hamas. So when you take that combination, that is South Africa, that is Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, and President Trump, open enough and generous enough to have this man in the White House, an open conversation in front of the press and Americans about what was going on in that country. This is what helps foster change. And the people who came here, to your other point about the refugees, we do have an asylum policy that if you are under threat and there's a standard, we will take you in. And the people that came in from South Africa, these white farmers and other individuals, met that standard, and we welcome them in because we do not discriminate. That is the key. And we do have a limit right now, an end to the ability for people to just move into the country because of the immigration problem we have with the 11 million you noted. But it is also written with exceptions, that we can make exceptions when there is a unique dynamic, and that applies to everyone. And that's why those individuals came.
Tammy, we have to leave it there, and I wish we didn't, because I got so much more to ask you. You got to come back when you can, please.
We can do it regularly. I can give you updates.
Let's do it regularly. Thank you.
Yes.
Tammy, let me just say one last thing before we leave for today.
Sir.
Tammy,
yes,
I love you. Thank you.
I love you, too. Thank you, Bo. Thank you.
The James Golden Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.